What up, everybody? Welcome back to Operation Moksha. As always, I'm your host, Chris Roscoe, and today we're talking about self-sabotage, which is something that a lot of people deal with, including myself, and I'm going to tell you essentially what it is, where it comes from, how to deal with it, and ultimately how to integrate it so you can stop fucking up your plans and you can start walking confidently in the direction of your choosing. So first, we're gonna start breaking down what self-sabotage is. Self-sabotage is what happens when you set your sights on some kind of goal fairly well beyond your comfort zone. Maybe you want a certain kind of relationship you've never had before. Maybe you're reaching for a goal that is gonna stretch you and require you to become a new kind of person. Maybe you just want to become more confident or assertive and be a version of yourself that you've never been before. And all the parts of your personality that are designed to keep you within your comfort zone so that you can make sure that your reality makes sense, is predictable, and that you essentially know who you are and how to engage with your reality, they don't want you to turn into someone new. They want you to stay right the fuck where you are, right where you're safe. And so what happens is people will start to go outside of their comfort zone. They'll be like, wow, I'm really doing it. And something will happen. Either something externally will go wrong or something internally will go wrong. This can show up as a ton of different things. It could be a lack of motivation. Suddenly you have a depressive episode. Maybe you might even injure yourself. Something happens to stop your progress and essentially bring you right back down to where you were before. That's really what self-sabotage is. And it's important to know what this really is a misguided act of self-love. So I don't really even like using the word self-sabotage because it creates this almost adversarial context between you and the parts of your personality that are sabotaging your plans. Because they're not sabotaging you because they are malicious or mean or just want to see you suffer. They're sabotaging your plans because you are going into what you have defined as the danger zone. And it's their job to protect you from the danger zone. So you keep walking and walking and walking and they're like, hey, don't do that. That's scary. That's dangerous. You told us never to go there. And so they will find some way to snap you back to your baseline, return you back to the identity that you know, the lifestyle that you know, the environments that you know, and the relational dynamics that you know. That's really what self-sabotage is. So the question now becomes, well, how do I deal with this? And it's really kind of simple. You may have been able to extrapolate this so far, but what you really need to do is figure out what you are afraid of specifically. Now, this is really important. You don't want to think about this logically. This is where a lot of people go wrong. If you try to apply logic to your emotions, they're never going to make sense. They're not supposed to make sense. They're emotions. Your brain was programmed by a frightened child. And if you think that that frightened child was using these high and mighty logical and high-minded perceptions and attitudes to form your brain structure, then you're just wrong because you were a scared little kid when you formed your personality and your worldviews. And so they're not really gonna make a whole lot of sense. So you have to know going into this that you need to understand what you're afraid of on an emotional level, not on a logical level. This is not something you really wanna think through. It's something you wanna ask yourself and be listening for, because the answer is gonna come from inside. Again, if you try to apply external logic, you're gonna keep yourself running in circles because it's never gonna make sense. So get that through your head first off. Your emotions don't make sense, they're not supposed to. If you keep an eye on them, you can start to understand that emotions do kind of have their own sense of internal logic. Like I said, they say, over there is bad, don't go to the bad place, because if you go to the bad place, you're gonna feel a lot of bad things and bad things will happen. That's emotional logic. Emotional logic is, that's a scary bad thing, don't go near it. And it may not actually be a scary bad thing to your logical mind, but at some point in your history, you thought that whatever it is you're going for was a bad, scary thing. Maybe you're afraid of reaching a new level of success because that comes with responsibility you don't think you can handle. Maybe you're afraid of a certain kind of relationship because you might actually have to let somebody in, and that would suck. And maybe you have to risk getting your heart broken and all kinds of things. Who knows? Maybe you don't want to be confident because people might judge you, people might attack you. There's a million reasons to be afraid of becoming the biggest, baddest, most dopest version of yourself possible. There's a reason not that many people do it, because there's a lot to be afraid of. However, when you can pinpoint on an emotional level what you're afraid of and come up with a plan for it, then your mind will no longer have a reason to sabotage your plans. Your mind doesn't really care all that much what the plan is, it just cares that you have a plan. So, if you are reaching for a new level of success and you find yourself constantly snap back to the same place, you have to ask yourself on an emotional level, why? What is it out there that I'm afraid of? Maybe I'm afraid of responsibility, maybe I'm afraid of judgment, maybe I'm afraid of anything. Whatever it is, you have to pinpoint specifically what you're afraid of and come up with a plan for it. Me, I was afraid of success because I was afraid of loss. I lost my dad from a very early age, so I told myself never to love anything, never to have anything that if I lost it could hurt me in the way that losing my dad did. So I would sabotage my plans, I would sabotage my goals, I would sabotage my relationships so that I never had anything good enough to miss when it left. So for me, what I had to do was form a plan for that. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna lose stuff. there ain't really much I can do about that. So what do I want to do about the fact that I can't do anything about it? It's like, well, get so much cool shit that even if I lose some of it, it's not that big of a deal. And once I made that plan, my mind was like, yeah, that's actually a better way of dealing with loss. And so that part of me that used to sabotage my plans is now dedicated to helping me build as much cool shit as I can, because that's a healthier, better way of dealing with loss. Now, you might be afraid of intimacy for a bunch of different reasons. Who knows what you're afraid of? It's literally unlimited, because there's so many people with so many different experiences and so many different outlooks that it's really important for you to get specific about what you're dealing with and come up with a plan. And what you'll notice is if you really listen to these parts of your personality, figure out what they're scared of, just the listening alone will start to diminish, because all these parts of you care about is that you're listening and you care about what they have to say. And once that contact is made, they start to build trust with you. And if you keep listening and if you keep acting enough until, well, they can trust you, then all of a sudden they just kind of go back into your unconscious again, but in a much healthier way, helping you towards your goals rather than unconsciously picking them apart. So that's really what self-sabotage is. That's how you deal with it. It's complex, so if you have any more questions about this, please let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to go deeper on anything you might need my help with, but this should be good enough for now. I love you. I'm Chris Roscoe, and I'll see you next time.